Hey guys, it's Amanda. So this week I've decided that I'm going to cover ethical dilemmas. This is something that's come up a lot on site lately that's promoted more conversation about what to do in ethical dilemmas. So I'm going to give you guys a couple examples, kind of some of the action steps that I took, and then talk about, how that affects our practice. So some of you know my field instructor moved away. She's still my field instructor, but she's not here anymore. And when she left behind a group. So I have stepped up as a co-facilitator of that group, and I've really enjoyed being more of a part of the discussion and the activities and kind of bringing my ideas to the table. And I've developed some rapport with those group clients. But one of the things that has come up is that a new facilitator was named. And when that facilitator started coming into groups. She's also a clinician. She started sharing information in the group setting that had been shared with her in individual therapy sessions. So that's an ethical dilemma in a few ways. One, because that was the client's information to share, not the provider's. Two, because that client has a right to confidentiality in an individual session. And three, because it made a lot of people uncomfortable. There's actually been quite a bit of turmoil in the group lately since that information was shared, and people have considered, like, do I still want to be part of this? What are other people doing to protect my confidentiality? So it came down to management at the organization having to sit down with that person and just saying, hey, ethically, it's not okay to be sharing personal information in a group setting. So internally for me, that felt really, the only word I can use to describe it is just yuck. Um, because I do value confidentiality with my clients, and I do believe that there is a bond in an individual session that should enable confidentiality and people should feel comfortable sharing things. And when they're made to feel unsafe, that's really not okay. So that's one example. Another one that I have recently had to do with harassment. So, not on site, but in my paid employment, and since sparked conversations on my site, there was an employee who was sending inappropriate text messages to coworkers, and multiple people had said because this was a person with seniority, someone with lots of experience, they swept it under the rug and made excuses and didn't say anything. And that didn't sit well with me. So I asked HR to review our policy on sexual harassment and just harassment in general, and started a conversation with administration around how harassment can impact employees, and it can also impact, the people that we work with. And so on site and with my field instructor, we've talked about what those safeguards are, who clients should go to if they feel like they've been harassed or if the services that they're receiving have crossed boundary lines. So in my on-site site, the plan for if someone feels they've been harassed is to immediately address it with the person they feel comfortable with, whether it be an outside provider or management. They prefer that it's somebody in management first so that they can address it and kind of open an investigation. But if that person doesn't feel comfortable telling them, it's okay to tell the person that they feel comfortable with. One of the dilemmas that we talked about is what the capacity the person they tell has to do something about those reports. So ultimately, at some level, management needs to get involved to investigate things. And, it may be a matter of, if it's an employee, them no longer working with that person, maybe no longer working for the agency, depending on the extent of the harassment. But it's just such a big issue, and it's loaded, and socially there's been like the Me Too movement lately and all these other things, and that got me thinking about harassment as an ethical dilemma, because we should support people in sharing their experiences of harassment, and we ourselves should also report when we're harassed. But there's so many reasons that if you sit down and think about it, that you can come up with to deter you from doing that. some of the stuff that I've mentioned, like seniority or length of a career at a job, or your fear of retaliation or consequences for yourself for reporting such things. So, my question for you guys this week is, have you been in a situation, directly or indirectly, where harassment has been involved? And how did you resolve that ethical dilemma, and what did you do? And if you've ever walked through that process with a client, how you supported them in sharing what happened or telling you what happened and what the outcome was. So I look forward to hearing your responses in class. Have a good week, everybody.